Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. This is square dance, finishes 12 inches. Here's the diagram. We have half square triangles in the corners. We have 2 sets of flying geese, and then we have large squares and small squares. Here are 4 blocks set block to block. Has a nice secondary design here. This is a 6 by 6 grid. So there are 6 units across and 6 units down. And since this is a 12-inch block, each unit in each grid space finishes at 2 inches because 2 times 6 is 12. Here are the patches. There are 4 patches, and the AccuQuilt dies for each of the 4 patches are listed here. They're all from the 8-inch cube if you have your 8-inch mix and match cube. Patch A is a 2-inch finished half square triangle. Patch B is a 2-inch finished square. Patch C is a 4-inch finished quarter square triangle. These are used for the flying geese. It's the geese portion of the flying geese. And patch D is the center square 4-inch finished. Here are the cutting instructions for each of the 3 different fabrics. I've listed cutting instructions for the corners, which are the half square triangles. You can cut patches and sew your half square triangles that way, or you can cut squares and make 2 at a time half square triangles. For the flying geese, we also use the half square triangle patches, or you can use squares to make flying geese 4 at a time, and there'll be a short tutorial later in this video that will show you how to make those flying geese 4 at a time. So you can cut squares for that method, or you can cut patches. First thing we're going to do is sew the 4 half square triangles that go in the corner. And then for step 2, we'll take those 4 half square triangles and we'll take the small squares and make the corner units. So I have cut mine with the AccuQuilt. Here are my patches for the 4, so I'll take 4 of the dark and 4 of the background squares. And we just put them together like this, flip it over, match all 3 sides, and stitch the long side. Press the seams open. For step 2, there's a diagram here that shows the corner units. We'll take a half square triangle and a background, 2 background squares, and then an accent square. This is your corner unit. So these 2 together and these 2, press the seams and then sew the 2 rows together. You'll make 4 of these units. For step 3, we're going to make the 2 sets of flying geese units. I've cut my patches, so I'll sew these like this. We take triangles, the half square triangle patches, flip them over like this, match these 2 sides, and stitch a 1/4 inch. And press the seams open. Then after that's done, we'll go on the other side like this and do the same thing. Match the 2 sides, stitch 1/4 inch, and press the seams open. The cutting instructions include, if you want to do flying geese 4 at a time, you can cut them the exact size you need, or you can cut them a slightly larger to trim down. So here's a tutorial that shows you how to do the flying geese 4 at a time and trim down after they're finished. Flying geese 4 at a time. For the small squares, which is the sky portion, the large square is the geese portion, we're going to mark a diagonal line on the back. Place these right sides together in this corner, in this opposite corner. Match these 2 sides, and make sure this line is nice and straight. We're going to stitch a 1/4 inch on each side of this diagonal line, but for this one we're going to stitch an exact 1/4 inch, not a scant, an exact 1/4 inch. Now we'll cut this in half on the diagonal line. We open it up and we have we have 2 pieces that look like this. We're going to press these seams open on both of them. Now we take our remaining 2 squares, put them right sides together in this corner. Do the same thing for this one. And now we'll stitch again a true 1/4 inch on both sides of this line for both of these pieces. Now we cut both of these in half on the diagonal line, and we open it up and we have our flying geese unit. When you stitch these diagonal lines on this piece, you want to begin or end right here in this point, this 90-degree angle right here where it comes out, and right here. The reason you do this is when you fold this over and press it, this will be nice and straight, hopefully, across the top. Now press these seams open, and then we'll trim them down. Now these we're going to trim down to 4.5 inches by 2.5 inches. Because we cut the geese portion, the large square, the correct size we needed, and then we cut these squares larger, this measurement should be 4.5 inches, or really close to it. So let's check it out first. And there it is. It's really close to 4.5 inches. We just have the nubs to cut off and maybe a little bit right here. Now we want to move this up or around to 2.5 inches down here. Let's put that down. And now we check our 1/4 inch mark, and it needs to be slightly above that point. Let's see if we can move this up a little bit. So it's just right at that point, and we have 2.5 inches here. So you see there's not much to trim off. So we'll trim off the right side and the front. So just very little to trim off. Now we'll flip this around, and all we need to do here is trim off the nubs. And do that to all 4 of your flying geese. Our 2 sets of flying geese are done. And in step 4, we're going to sew them together like this. Sew these together and press the seams open or to one side. Sometimes when you have this point here, it's difficult to press it open. So I sometimes find it easier to press to one side. And you'll make 4 of these. These are the side units. They should measure after you're finished 4.5 inches. We have our side units done and our corner units done. Now we'll just lay the block out on the proppet board. This is the center square, and the half square triangles are pointing out on these corners. Then for the flying geese, the red flying geese is pointing out. And the yellow parts of the flying geese are like a square on point. So here is your block laid out. Now we'll piece these top units together into a row, the middle and the bottom, press the seams, and then sew the rows together. Thank you for watching.